I'm Dr. John Stenberg at Zenith Chiropractic in Colorado Springs, and this is the neurostructural chiropractic feature focus number 2. Last time we kind of talked about the specialty table that we use to do adjustments in the upper cervical spine specifically, and why that's different than a conventional manipulation. So if you haven't seen that, I will link that video to this one so that you can get an idea about what that's all about. But I really want to focus today on some diagnostic testing that is a huge component of the day-to-day in the practice. Now, we talk a lot about how the structural integrity of the spine affects the function of the nerve system, and so as we're taking folks through care, we need to have objective ways of measuring any changes for better or worse in the function of the nerve system, ultimately for the better. So one of the big tools that we use to do that on a visit-by-visit basis is paraspinal thermography, and in short, what we're looking at with that is the function of the sympathetic nerve system. So we use an infrared scanner, and we set patients up in this station so that we can perform the scan in the exact same posture each time. And what we have is 2 infrared cameras that are attached to a scanning device. It measures the heat that's radiated from the surface of the skin on the right and left sides of the spine. Under normal circumstances, that should be balanced and symmetrical within a certain degree range. And so if we're seeing deviations beyond that, we know that there's some sort of nerve irritation that is contributing to a decreased level of function there. So when we examine patients, especially new patients, we take a series of scans over time to notice a pattern. It's all about pattern recognition. So when we see that consistent pattern on a visit, that's how we know we need to go in and do the next adjustment. In between adjustments, when we're taking measurements and seeing that things are improving or changing, that's when we don't do adjustments. So it's a big part of getting an adjustment that's going to hold for a period of time is having some data to surround what we're seeing in terms of how the patient's feeling and other things that we're testing. Really is a big part of keeping us on track with our overall care and keeping us accountability to results. The funny looking chair that you see here is just so that when we take a scan and we set up patients in a seated position with their cheekbones resting in the pads here, we can run our scan in the exact same position each time. That way we're taking data that is comparable to the last time. We're not having variables in the way that the patient was sitting or how their neck was tilted or was I pushing on their forehead and these types of things. So when we run this test, it's all about collecting objective data about how the person's functioning, whether they need to have an adjustment, if we did the adjustment, was it effective, and more importantly, when to not do an adjustment and to leave it alone and let them continue to get the benefit of the last adjustment that we did.